And now this, the sorority at the center of a lawsuit over admitting a biological male appears to be retaliating against its own members. An appeals court is hearing the case filed by 6 Kappa Kappa Gamma sisters against their chapter at the University of Wyoming. A lower court tossed that case, but now the sisters want the higher court to define the word woman. One of the plaintiffs on this program last week explaining why she had to act.
There's been a lot of different uncomfortable situations that have made a lot of the girls really not want to even be in the house anymore, myself included. You know, like going to shower, we have communal bathrooms. We're supposed to feel comfortable and be safe and not have to worry about outside pressures or men being there. But all of a sudden, the tables turned on us.
And now 2 lifelong sorority members, Patsy Levang and Cheryl Smith, say they have been booted for speaking out in support of their sisters. The sorority accusing the women of discrimination, saying they violated the purposes and standards of KKG. Patsy and Cheryl join us now, along with Whit May Mailman, the attorney on the original case, and an independent Women's Law Center attorney. Thank you for being here. I mean, I feel like women all over the country have been talking about this since it first emerged that this happened, still in disbelief, really. And now to see a battle over it and being removed from this after half a century in it, why is this happening to you?
That's a wonderful question because we've wondered the same thing. And what happened was we decided to speak out. And when the plaintiffs had to disclose their names in the lawsuit, and they were so brave to do that, being young women on a college campus, I thought if they can be that brave, so can I. So I sent out letters to hundreds of alumni associations explaining what was happening in Laramie, Wyoming. And I was told I couldn't do that.
I mean, Patsy, where do you sit in all this? I mean, why is this happening to women?
It's so interesting because I was sort of at their level on the foundation side, working for years as a volunteer. And I became a volunteer in 1970 and have volunteered for all of those years until about 2013, 2012.
Yeah.
And in that process, I met Kappas all over the nation. So for me to connect with the Kappas, I didn't have to break anybody's rules to do that. I had friends, Kappa friends all over the country. And I did raise a lot of money for the Kappa Foundation at one time. And then to have them come back and we reached out, tried to have a conversation, no conversation, and kicked me out, I was surprised. I actually was quite surprised that they went that way.
I want to get more of your thoughts on that in just a second. But imagine a world where now we're having a battle over defining the word woman.
Right. That's at the heart of the center of the underlying lawsuit, which is that woman is now being defined by Kappa to be its opposite. And so these women, alongside 450 other Kappa alumni, filed a brief yesterday in the underlying case. And they explained that would be like hiring a painter and saying, will you please paint my house white? And the painter paints it black and says, well, I identify this paint as white. And we would never do that in any other circumstance. And we shouldn't do it with women because women deserve to have sororities. They deserve to have single-sex spaces. It has been incredibly beneficial for women throughout the years.
Well, how should this be handled, in your opinion, going forward when other sororities come up against this and have to deal with this themselves?
I think one of the things we need to do is make people aware this is happening. So many people are not aware of the language that leadership has put in the policies, not the bylaws, but the policies, that we don't discriminate. We take women and people that identify as women. And I think we need to educate people that our women's rights are being eroded.
Wow. What was this like for those girls who had to live through this and sort of are at the forefront of having to sort of get through this or pioneer this?
Thank you for that question. That was what really motivated me. I have 2 Kappa daughters, one that was a Kappa at the University of Iowa, but one that was a Kappa at Wyoming. And so when I got wind of this happening, my husband and I were going down to Steamboat Springs, Colorado anyway, so we jumped in the car and we said, let's stop in Laramie and see if we can have a conversation with these young women. And as soon as we met them, My husband was the first to say, these are stellar young women, and we need to protect their living space. We need to protect their experience. I grew in leadership, academic, my abilities to do things when I was a Kappa. The one thing I couldn't do as a young person was enter into the sports world because there wasn't Title IX. And there's a carve-out for Kappa in Title IX to have a single-sex experience. We fought that battle at Harvard, and we won and kept our single-sex space. And now we're at the point where we're having to regain that ground, and we're not going to quit until we regain the ground.
Well, God bless you for it. I mean, real quick final thought from you. You know, while it might seem obvious, how hard it is for an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old girl to speak out. I mean, they know that they will be in the spotlight and they will be criticized by some.
Right. These are women who are at the beginning of their careers. They know that they're going to have to go to future employers. They don't know who they are, and their names are going to be out there. So this is extremely brave, but they were able to do it in part because of the alumni support. And so what Kappa is doing is they are punishing anyone who supports these plaintiffs in order to squash dissent. That's the opposite of the point that sororities were trying to do, which is give women leadership opportunities, give women a voice.
Well, we will be following every detail of this. Thank you very much and coming on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Did you have a final thought?
Well, what I'm concerned about is I want to make sure we retain safe spaces for women
Yes.
Yeah.
so that they can focus on their education and focus on their leadership. And thank you so much for having us.
Of course. It's an important discussion. Thanks to all three of you. All right.